Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, dear friends. Speaking. Dear friends, I'm waiting for your questions about IELTS speaking. This is my first live session on YouTube. If you join this session every day, inshallah, at the same time, I will try my best to organize this sort of program, this sort of session, so that you can be benefited. This is IELTS RAZU from IELTS training session. If you have any question, I can reply. You can ask me, dear viewers. Our chat head is open. Anybody can ask me questions about IELTS speaking. And this third session is free for all. It's open for all. Anybody can ask me any question. This is the friendly discussion session. Anybody can ask me any question. We can share our experiences about IELTS. Anybody can ask me, anybody. And I am ready to share with you my experiences. Learners, if you want, you can ask me, and I will try my best to reply these questions. Nobody is asking many questions. Nobody joined this session. Okay, still, I'm waiting for my friends so that they can join me. They can ask me any questions. However, let me say something about IELTS speaking. IELTS speaking is a one-to-one interview session. That means one candidate and one examiner. This is one to sessions in the different ways, two different ways it can be organized. One is in person on the, I mean, you will face the examiner on the exam at the exam hall or the exam venue. At the same time, you will face the examiner face to face. Examiner will ask the questions and will reply. One examiner, one candidate at the same time. Please, one of our friends, MOF Umar. Okay, please describe our speaking task 2. Okay, dear friends, Mr. Umar, I will discuss about speaking part 2. Part 2 is called phase 2. Phase means section. In the part 2, you'll be given a topic, and beneath the topic, you'll be given some informations or cues. As the informations are given beneath the topic, this is called the cue card. Information means cue. Here, cue means information. Several questions should be given beneath the questions or beneath the topic. And for this reason, you will be given 1 minute for taking preparations. You will take some notes. You'll be provided with a piece of blank paper and a pencil. You may have some notes if you are required. For this, you'll be given 1 minute. And then you'll be given 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes for delivering a speech on this topic. But most of the students or the candidates make the same mistake, that they don't like to take the notes. Note taking is very important. If you take the note, it will be very easy for you. And it's a one kind of brainstorming, it's one kind of preparation. If you take the notes, half of your preparation will take place. In that session, it will be quite easy for you to say something about things. And the information is given on the cues scatteredly, randomly. If you take notes, your brain will scrutinize. Your brain will sort out the information. Which one should be given the past and which should be given and the next, and the final information should be given. And your speech should be organized, sequential, with coherence and cohesion. I mean harmony. And if you don't take the notes, your information won't be organized. It will be unorganized. It will be scattered. It may degrade your band score. That's why your first responsibility is to take the notes on the given blank sheet, with the given pencil. You can use this. The blank page is given only for taking preparation. If you're serious about, I hope that you can do very well. Any questions regarding this? Some other questions, and you should be concerned about this. As most of the cases, some of our friends may ask that, sir, if Q is the cue card common? No cue card is common, but familiar. Every cue card is familiar. Situation is common, but specific cue card cannot be common. Questions cannot be common, but situations are familiar, like favorite books, favorite place, I mean tourist spot, historical places, monuments, and these are the common and the familiar situations, and nothing to memorize. Just boost up your senses. In IELTS speaking, you have to boost up your senses. I mean, you have to improve your imagination, your thoughts, your thinking. But how can you develop this? The only way to develop your thinking is facing this sort of situation, speaking session frequently, and make a group discussion with your friends. And sometimes uh, you can take, organize interview session. Sometimes you can play the role of a candidate, and sometimes you can play the role of an examiner. And for this reason, you need at least one friend. I mean, two friends can practice with this, two person. One can be examiner, another can be candidate. You can continue this process several times, frequently, again and again. It will be beneficial for you to overcome this problem and to improve your speaking efficiencies. And another thing is, some of our friends try to memorize ready-made reply for the cue cards. This is not the wise decision, because in the real test, if you memorize something, you will be stumbled. That means you will feel inertia, you'll feel mumbling, you won't be able to speak out smoothly. And fluency doesn't mean speed. Fluency means transparency. Whatever you are talking to the audience, it should be transparent, visible, and catchable to the audience. And what you are speaking to the audience, it's mandatory to make him or her understand your speech. You're speaking so fast, it doesn't mean fluent. If the audience can't understand you, you're not fluent. Actual fluency means flawless speech with transparency. Every word, every phrase, every expression, or every sentence should be understandable to the people who you are talking to. It's very important. But in Bangladesh, most of the candidates think that speed means fluency. Fluency doesn't speed. Without any pause, without any mumbling, you're feeling relaxed while speaking like the mother tongue. It should be natural. It shouldn't be unnatural. And this is all about your speaking about task two. Okay, another things need to be mentioned here that in speaking phase two, the part two, time is fixed. That means 1 minute per preparation and 2 minutes per speech, 3 minutes, and you will get total 12 to 15 minutes for your speaking, at least 12 minutes and at best 15 minutes. And part two is specified. And time is decided, that is 3 minutes. And section 1 and section 3, time is variable. If the examiner takes much time in section 1, the examiner will take less time in section 3, because section 2 time is limited. 1 minute preparation, 2 minutes space, 3 minutes. And say examiner is going to give you just 12 minutes for your test. That means if you subtract 3 minutes from 12 minutes, that means you have 9 minutes. If the examiner asks you large number of questions in the page 1, the examiner will ask you less number of questions, the poor number of questions, limited number of questions in the page 2, because you won't get more than 12 to 15 minutes. It should be less than 12, 20, okay, 12 minutes. I mean 12 to 13 minutes, in this range. Not less than 12 minutes, not more than 15 minutes. That's why if you know this situation before you go for the real test, I think you'll be benefited. You have to be determined that in the phase 1, examiner can ask you more questions. I mean, the phase 1 says 0, there is some common questions. I mean, examiner may ask about your name first, about your personal details. I mean, first question may be asked, could you please tell me your full name? Or first question may be, may you tell me your name? Or examiner can ask you, may I know your name? Several ways examiner can ask about your name. And then examiner asks, where do you come from? Or where have you come from? Or examiner can ask you, where do you live in? That means your residential address. Examiner is asking for. This is included in the common questions. And sometimes examiner may ask you about your residential area, I mean your hometown. Usually examiner asks these questions in a way, where are you from? Where are you from? That indicates that your native town. You will tell about the native town. But most of the cases, candidates make the mistake here. Most of the cases, Bangladeshi candidates reply about their residential areas and the place they are living right now. Where are you from asks, or the demand of the question is about your hometown. And sometimes candidates may stop after telling that my hometown is Maniganj, or I am from Maniganj, or I am from Sylhet. It's determined. But you have to tell a brief, I mean details about several sentences. You will tell about the why your hometown is famous for, and about the famous people, about the customs, about the history, any historical places, any famous place, any monuments, your culture, your food habit, your customs, your costumes, and different things you can tell about it. Don't stop with saying that, just your name of your hometown. And then examiner can also ask you about your occupation. But examiner never say, what is your occupation? Examiner never say, what do you do? Examiner usually say in the IELTS speaking test, I will work or study. It indicates that the examiner wants to know about your profession. The question is, are you in work or study? You get that the question is common. Most of the examiner will ask such a way. Examiner will never ask you what is your occupation, what is your profession, what do you do. Examiner will never ask you. But it's common questions. Are you in work or study? And these are the common questions in our IELTS speaking test phase 1. And then examiner will ask you some general questions. General questions usually based on any specific topic. It may be about your hobby, it may be about your study, it may be about your um, likes and dislikes, it may be about your friends, about your profession. Okay, if you are not student, examiner can ask related to your job, because examiner already asked you are in work or study, and examiner is going to make the decision what type of questions you will be asked in the general question session. In the general question sessions, if you reply that you are in work or you are working in a company, and you will tell about your job responsibilities, in that case, examiner will ask you job-related questions. If you say that you are a student, you are telling about your study background over there, and then examiner will ask relevant to your study. That means in the part 1, general question is also topic based, specific points. And if he is asked about your hobby, and the question should be hobby related, that means examiner may ask you, what is your hobby? And the relevant questions could be asked, do you think hobby is important for everyone? Or everyone needs to have a hobby? Or same question examiner may ask you, what is your leisure interest? Actually, hobby is pursued on the leisure time. That's why leisure interest and hobby almost same. You can prepare yourself with the same topic for the several questions. Same topic for the several patterns of questions. If the examiner asks you about your leisure interest, you can select the same topic. Someone may say that gardening, and gardening could be your leisure interest as well as it can be your hobby. And examiner may ask you, what is your leisure interest? You can tell about traveling. Okay. If the examiner asks you, what is your hobby? You can say traveling. And then you will describe details of why do you like traveling, what sort of place you like traveling, with whom do you like traveling, and what do you like to do going your cherished destination or cherished tourist spot. You can describe this. The question is same, leisure interest and hobby. Just you'll mention that you like to do this when you get leisure time, and you can say if it is a hobby, you say that this is your hobby. Hobby is traveling. You travel at different places, and you can tell about the specific place. Then examiner will ask you the relevant questions. Suppose if you say that my hobby is traveling. When I get enough time, I like to travel different places. My desired travel spot, tourist spot, is Cox's Bazar. I have visited there several times, and whenever I get an opportunities, I go there because Cox's Bazar is the tourist spot, and we know the longest beach in the world is in Cox's Bazar. Cox's Bazar, many travelers, many tourists from different countries come every year. This is the most famous tourist spot in Bangladesh. The people of Bangladesh like to visit in the tourist spot, especially the winter season. Winter is very enjoyable in the Cox's Bazar. That's why I like to travel these places. And then examiner can ask you some questions And examiner won't give you much time to reply this because this is not the cue card. This is part one. In the part one, examiner will make you the questions. Examiner ask you, this next question could be, how do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare yourself before traveling any place? However, you can say that I make my itinerary or the travel plan before traveling new place. If it is coastal area, because the sun shines directly and 90-degree angles, that's why I need to carry some uh, sunscreen. It's very important thing to get safety of my skin because it may heat from the ultraviolet UV, and that's why I need to. Sorry, I need to take the sunscreen. What may get the protection of my skin? It's very important. I also book the hotel before going there because it's very important to arrange the accommodation. Accommodation is very important in places. That's why I also think of my accommodations and the travel plan. My travel include the transportation, how I would like to go there. If it's outside the country, I need to go by air. That's why I need to select the year, specific year, how can I go there. As I go to Cox's Bazar, I go on bus and sometimes I go on rail. And I have a planning to go there immediately this winter. You can reply this. Examiner may ask you the same question. While traveling different places, have you ever faced any difficulties? Well, it's an interesting question. Actually, I didn't face any difficulties while traveling different places, but I'd like to mention a place, the Saint Martin. It was in 2001. I visited with some of my friends. We faced a lot of difficulties over there while coming because there was a political unrest in my country, and we didn't get bus on time. And when we came to Teknaf from Cox's Bazar by sea track, we need to stay there, but in the Teknaf, there was no hotel. And we had to wait until 6 p.m. that day, until the evening. And then we started for the Cox's Bazar, and there's a taxi, and they call the Chandargari. In the Cox's Bazar, local name is Chandargari. By taxi, we came to Cox's Bazar and we got a transit one day over there. And the next day, we started for Dhaka. And actually, everybody needs to be concerned about unexpected threat, but we were not prepared for that. After that, we always get prepared for facing these sort of unexpected situations. That's all it. Then examiner won't give you the enough time to ask the questions because he will go to the next questions. And do you think, examiner may ask you, do you think in the tourist area or the tourism area, accommodations should be reasonable? You can reply, definitely, accommodation is very important thing. That's why it should be reasonable. The price of the accommodation should be that much high and that much low. And if it is low cost, you cannot get the comfortable accommodations. If it is high cost, it's not affordable for all kinds of tourists. So I prefer the accommodation should be reasonable so that all classes of tourists can afford this. And most of the tourist spot in Bangladesh, accommodation is very reasonable, like Cox's Bazar, Kuakata, Saint Martin. That's why I think that any tourists who are coming overseas can get comfort in our tourist spot. Examiner also won't give you much time in these questions. He will ask you the next questions. And you need to think of that. It's very important thing You need to be concerned about this, that the IELTS speaking test is almost guided. I mean, examiner is guided by the candidates. Examiner is guided by candidates. What type of question examiner will ask you? It depends on your reply. Next question depends on the current reply you're thinking in the page one. And then examiner will give you the, uh, examiner may ask you about 3 questions, 4 questions, 5 questions, sometimes 6 questions. Already I mentioned earlier that if the examiner asks you large number of questions, the page one, the general questions, examiner will ask you very poor or small number of questions, several questions in the part two, in the part three, because part two is specific. That is the cue card. Time is limited. 1 minute preparation, 2 minutes space. That means total 3 minutes. And then examiner will ask you some questions depending on the cue card you're given. If your cue card is a book you read recently, that means your question in the third page will be relevant to book. If the cue card is describe a historical place you visited recently, and the examiner will ask you questions on the page two relevant to historical place or monument you visited. If the question topic is your favorite restaurant, on the third page question must be based on favorite restaurant related questions, relevant questions. I mean the follow-up questions. Third page is the follow-up questions. It obviously depends on page two. Okay, dear viewers, dear friends, do you have any question regarding this? You can ask me. I'm ready to reply. Only Umar Farouk, I mean Umar, MOF Umar asked me one question. I am telling, I'm talking a lot, but nobody is asking me any question. Only 4 members joined this because this is my first session, speaking session. I didn't inform anybody else. Inshallah, tomorrow we will enjoy the session same time. And if you're interested, you can give me the comments on this. And if you tell that, okay, I need to discuss about the speaking tomorrow, inshallah, I will discuss about the speaking tomorrow. If you want to ask me about questions, some questions about writing, I will, inshallah, talk about writing. Okay. 4 members or 4 friends join this program. You can make a comments about tomorrow, okay, 10:30 p.m. What session I will organize, whether writing or reading or speaking or listening. Mention, okay, on the comment section. The 30 minutes, it's going, okay, late night. So we are going to be knocking. It's 11 a.m., 11:01 p.m., 11:01 p.m. That's why I'd like to end the session because I didn't get any questions more. Inshallah, tomorrow I will inform some other friends so that I will give you the notification so that other friends can join us. And friends to join me, mention in the comment section what section I will discuss from IELTS. Listening, speaking, reading, or writing tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time, 10:30 p.m. Inshallah. And follow my channel. Inform your friends so that they can join this program. Inshallah. I will try my best to make this discussion effective. I'd like to end the session here for today because we've already passed 29 minutes 30 seconds. Here is the end of this session for today. Inshallah, tomorrow 10:30 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.